Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to jump into Pamela Ovitie Blackwell's memoir, Songs from the Journey. It's a really powerful story about faith, resilience, and ultimately finding the courage to use your own voice. Right from the start, the book opens with this idea. It sets this really intimate tone for a journey that isn't about, huge, flashy events, but about those quiet, almost invisible moments that end up changing everything.
And that right there, that's the heart of the whole thing. This isn't just a list of things that happened to her. It's a story structured like a spiritual climb, from this place of innocence all the way to a kind of wisdom that you can only get the hard way. So let's start at the beginning.
Pamela's story kicks off in a childhood that was, by all accounts, full of love. But it's also where these first little whispers of disappointment started to attune the person she would become. Now, what's so interesting here is that it's not one big tragedy. It's this pattern of small, quiet heartbreaks that just pile up. The puppy that wasn't for her, the club that disappeared, the solo she never got to sing. Each one taught her to kind of swallow her hopes and just expect a little less. And this becomes a really crucial theme later on. So then, as she gets a bit older, something else starts to creep in. The words of other people, teachers, family. They begin to stick, creating this real internal battle over who she was and what she was worth. Think about this. In school, she's a bright kid, right? She has a 7th grade vocabulary. But her report cards, they always just said satisfactory. It was this quiet, polite way of telling her she was just average. A way of minimizing her potential and keeping her in the middle. And this quote just nails that conflict perfectly. On one side, you have the world slapping this limiting label on her. And on the other, this deeper feeling, this spiritual sense that she was meant for something more. It was a real battle for how she saw herself. And you know how powerful words can be, especially from family. A comment that might have seemed totally casual, her mom just mentioning she weighed 105 pounds, it planted this little seed of shame that just grew and grew, affecting her for a long, long time. It became this distorted mirror she saw herself in for years. Okay, so now we get to her college years, and this is where things get really tough. It was a time of some pretty bad choices and a lot of heartbreak. But the way she frames it in the book is fascinating. It's not a tragic ending, but a necessary fall that actually led her to grace. I mean, these years were just marked by one deep wound after another. A terrible betrayal by someone she trusted completely shattered her, leaving her feeling ashamed and confused. And that led to this pattern of looking for validation in relationships that just couldn't fix the hurt. But here, this is the pivot. This is the moment everything changes. The birth of her daughter, Gabrielle, which society might see as the final mistake in a string of them, became the very thing that saved her. It turned what could have been a moment of total shame into a journey toward purpose. All right, so this next part, this is really the climax of the whole story. It's where all that immense pressure to be good, to be the perfect daughter, the perfect mother, the perfect employee, it all just becomes too much and leads to a total collapse.
Can you even imagine? At her father's company, she was literally doing the job of 3 people. We're talking 80-hour weeks, taking calls at 3 in the morning, constantly trying to prove she was good enough. The weight of that was just becoming crushing. And as if that wasn't enough, she does this incredibly compassionate thing. She opens her home to a friend's sister and her 3 kids who are escaping an abusive situation. And what does she get for it? Not support, but constant criticism from her own family. So you've got the job, you've got the family disapproval. All of it is just relentless, building and building. The very thing that made her special, her innate goodness, her desire to help everyone, was ironically the thing that was pushing her right to the edge. And this is the key, isn't it? When she finally hits a wall from pure exhaustion and quits her job, her family completely misinterprets it. They saw a mental breakdown where there was just a human being who had given every last drop she had. And the fallout from that misunderstanding is just devastating. In their attempt to save her, they accidentally caused this deep, lasting trauma. For 12 agonizing days, she's locked away, and her little girl secretly believes that her mom is dead. It created this fracture between them that would take years to heal. But sometimes you have to hit the absolute bottom to start climbing back up. And that's exactly what she did.
From that dark valley, she began this slow, deliberate climb back to herself, finding her faith again, not from a place of triumph, but from total surrender. And look at how she did it. It was this clear, step-by-step process of taking her own story back. It started with finding a doctor who would actually listen. It meant getting off the meds that were clouding her mind. And finally hearing the validation she needed. You're not broken, you're just profoundly exhausted. Then, in this beautiful full-circle moment, her inspiration comes from watching her daughter, Gabrielle, thrive. She sees her daughter start basketball late, but still excel. And it clicks. She realizes that just because you get a late start doesn't mean you can't reach the top. She could climb again, too. So, the story doesn't really end with this quote, and that's the whole point, right? It leaves you with this powerful feeling of an ongoing journey. It's a huge reminder that the climb towards your own purpose isn't a destination. It's a lifelong process, and every fall can become the foundation for your next ascent. What a takeaway.